A long, long time ago, our world was beaten, broken, and barren after eons of endless battles between the four brothers, dawn, day, dusk, and night. With these unending conflicts never yielding a victor, finally the deities decided to negotiate peace. An agreement was struck where in turns one would rule over the entire mortal lands for a period of time, while the others would lay dormant. The lands prospered like never before, free from the destruction of war, celebrating the fortune of peace. But unfortunately, the slightest deviation from their normal waking order would crumble their whole delicate system. The world was held together with gentle transitions. Dawn returned light back into the world after night had covered it with darkness. Day released the script to pass control to dusk. Yet, even in harmony, protection was desired. Discreetly, one of the four brothers kept hidden a mighty remnant from the war, prepared to call upon his ancient weapon to manage and defend his domain. This is the awakening of Dawn's champion, Aaru. The ceremony felt abnormal. There was a sense of urgency during the rites, and some were even omitted. Depart at once and wait for instructions at the border of my domain. Aaru waited for his master's arrival with great anticipation. Surprisingly, Dawn appeared in his full form. His presence was captivating. Dawn addressed his faithful servant. His tone was anxious, lacking its usual calm and serenity. A dark menace unlike anything this world has ever seen is approaching fast from the domain of night. I am unable to reach it, so your time has come. You are to journey through the domains of my brethren and enter night's territory to block its source. Aaru bowed his head. He needed no convincing. Aaru was determined to honor his master and follow his every command. Without hesitation, he stood up and advanced towards the realm of day. Moving away from his master's presence, he heard his voice. Do not expect an easy passage through my brother's territories. They will not welcome you. As Aaru traveled towards day's glistening hot wasteland, he focused on the last vision his master had revealed to him. In his vision, Aaru saw 4 temples scattered throughout Day's domain. Destroying them should drain his life force enough to make passage over his lands possible. Aaru's vision ended, but wait, that had never happened before. Aaru felt a slithering wave of heavy emotions running through him. He needed to make a decision. Aaru had never felt so isolated. His master had always guided his every move, but now, such a simple decision, but somehow the most difficult task he had ever faced. Which temple should he start with? With the temples destroyed, Aaru intended to continue his mission and rushed towards Dusk's border. But much to his surprise, he felt a peculiar yet familiar sensation run through him. Aaru felt somehow completed, and his doubt seemed to melt away. Until an alien voice sounded to him, firm and without mercy. My brother has no right to send his minion into my domain. You do not know what you are doing. Go back to where you came from. You are not allowed to enter Dusk's domain only to wreak the same havoc you have caused here. In an instant, the comfortable sensation vanished, and Aaru was left hollow and alone once more. He found himself looking at 3 magical orbs and wondered about their purpose. Aaru flew through the portal and found himself on the edge of Dusk's domain. He was filled with deep-rooted anxiety. His resolve had suffered severely by Day's rage, an overpowering reaction to the injustice suffered by his domain. Aaru pulled himself together and willed his mind away from doubt and hesitation. He focused on the importance of his quest and his determination to abide by his master's wishes. Purpose, persistence, and power defined Aaru's every step as he moved towards the last temple in Dusk's domain. Suddenly, he sensed Dusk's calm and soothing presence. Aaru's stride almost faltered when he heard the gentle yet resolute voice of Dusk. I will not allow Dawn's fiend to venture into my domain and murder my children. After the battle, Aaru's emotions mirrored the fading light of Dust's domain. Dust did not show anger, only sorrow and disappointment. He asked Aaru, "How have we wronged Dawn? What possible reason does he have to invade our lands, murder our children, and threaten our delicate balance?" Aaru stood in silence. He could not possibly know the answer. In fact, he had not even considered asking the question. It was not his place to do so. As Aaru entered Night's domain, he was starting to feel unsure of his motives, and was unable to understand the feeling of regret that was slowly consuming his resolve. But his loyalty to his master kept up his motivation and drive, so he continued on to the temples of Night. Night's domain was unlike anything Aaru had ever seen. Much to his surprise, the world was illuminated by the tantalizing glow of distant stars, which gave an unyielding feeling of serenity and stillness. Aaru heard the soft, dreamy voice of Night echoing, "Do you know that you are committing a mortal sin? You have no excuse." Aaru did not respond. Night continued, "Blind obedience will bring only sorrow. One should always question authority. Otherwise, the road to destruction is certain." Aaru continued his journey towards one of Night's temples. His heart was heavy and he was confused. He felt unsure of his mission and his purpose. Aaru arrived at the entrance to Night's last temple. He was completely mesmerized by the beauty of the temple, and Night's words and questions weighed heavily on his mind. Feelings of regret were beginning to consume him, and his absolute faith and devotion to his quest was yielding. Aaru's unshakable belief in his master was weakening, and doubts were arising. Was it possible the Knight was being truthful? Were his actions immoral and wrong? But now was not the time for doubt and distrust. How could he question his mission? His very being was based upon obedience and devotion to Dawn, no matter what. Aaru was confident that he would soon feel the comforting presence of his master. Everything would be explained, and the world would feel natural again. Aaru was triumphant once more, and now, with his quest completed, he was eager to return to his master. However, Night appeared to him tall and dominant. He showed no malice, but his tone conveyed sadness. "Why have you come here?" Aaru revealed to Night the vision of his quest. Night sighed slowly and looked directly into Aaru's eyes. "You have been deceived, champion. You are now the only obstruction between Dawn and ultimate power over all the domains. He will not suffer you for long." Night continued, "Now you have a choice to make. You can either die by the hand of your own master and let the balance of the world crumble into oblivion, or you can fight to stay alive and preserve our delicate world. It is not too late to undo your mistakes. The dark cloud that has followed you is the reach of Dawn's infernal plot, consuming the domains you have left in ruins. Dawn must now destroy you, as you are the only being keeping the memory of the domains alive. Once you fade, so shall the other three domains along with all their creatures and beings. What Dawn fails to realize is that we are all codependent. Should you remove one of the domains, all will suffer the consequences. You will witness the repercussions of your actions once you enter your own beloved domain." Aaru returned to the domain of his master. He still did not truly understand or believe what had transpired during his journey through the other domains. His master's presence hit him like a brick. He could feel that something had changed. A veil had been lifted, and he could finally sense Dawn's true nature. Dawn had not changed, but Aaru had. He had gained wisdom and clarity through his ordeals, and now viewed his master with disappointment and disgust. Aaru could now see the effects of his actions. His beloved homeland had started to crumble and fall apart as Dawn was beginning to acquire full dominance over the four domains. The temples in Dawn's domain were rapidly consuming all matter and energy from the other domains, breaking the delicate system that had held the world together for so long. The magic and the individual beauty of the other domains were fading away, and the whole world was breaking down. A shiver ran down Aaru's spine as Dawn's voice boomed in his mind. "Congratulations, your task is complete. My brother's domains have started to fade away, and with every passing moment, my power grows. Now you must return the form I gave you, as it has become tainted by the other domains. As long as the life form believes in the existence of my brothers, I cannot fully consume them or take control over their lands. Your purpose has been fulfilled. Now head back to the place of your awakening and submit again to my control." Remembering what Knight had said, Aaru did the impossible. For the very first time, he ignored his former master and decided to restore the balance he had himself destroyed. Dawn let out a horrible shriek as Aaru approached Dawn's last standing temple. Dawn demanded that Aaru bow to his will and give up this madness. As Aaru continued unfiltered, he witnessed what he had only seen once before. Dawn's physical form towering over him, stating that he would squash him like the insect he was. However, Aaru was determined and had already made up his mind. He would and could stop Dawn's plot, even if it meant the end of everything for himself. Aaru now fully understood how misled and deceived he had been. It was now or never. He had to undo his mistakes. He had to restore the balance by rising up against his master. After the final temple had been destroyed, Dawn was furious. "You have no idea what you've done. All the domains will be devoured and the universe as we know it will cease to exist." Aaru could feel Dawn's power fade away as he felt a strange sensation. His physical form started to fade away as well. There was no pain, but Aaru felt an overwhelming sensation of joy and peace rush through him. Before Aaru regained his senses, everything went black. Aaru wondered about this darkness. He felt odd and somehow all-knowing. He spent what felt like eternity, totally relaxed and at ease. Finally, Aaru faltered. That spiral grew until it exploded with vibrant colors, giving birth to 4 sisters, Dawn, Day, Dusk, and Night, whose essence came from the champion formerly known as Aaru.